the host of Aaron's Hour, Aaron Phillips.
Hey, welcome everybody. It is Saturday, July Foist. That's the way we say it in Jersey, July Foist. F-O-I-S-T. That's right. July 1st, second half of the year. Thank you for joining me here today. Aaron's Hour with Aaron Phillips coming to you live from the WWDB TV studios in the heart of heated Las Vegas. That's right. Heat wave warnings between now and probably till September 1st. So we want to ask everybody to please be safe, stay hydrated, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. Thank you for watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, that's great as well. Of course, you can download mobile apps if you're on the Android, WWDB TV. If you're on iPhone devices, Apple devices, WWDB TV LV. Oh my God, I just saw myself grow on the screen. Out of the corner of my eye, I got big on the screen. WWDB TV LV to your iPhones. And of course, in about 72 hours, go to Roku. If you have the Roku service, you can download the WWDB TV network there. And not only can you watch this show, any other show that we've had, of course, last week, Mike Powell Part 1. I got Mike Powell Part 2 today. Might want to watch them back to back. But all the many shows of choices that you have available on the network is there for you to enjoy. Either way, thank you for tuning in. 702-992-3207 is the number. Call in. You can talk to Mike. You can talk to me. Talk to John. Talk to yourself. I don't really care. Just call in. But you want to jot down that number. Why? Because I have a fresh copy of the book Mike wrote, Escaping the Killing Zone. First caller, when I say so, don't call now. First, don't call now, John. Hang up your phone. When you call in, you're going to get this copy of the book. That's right. Free, just for calling in and listening. So stay tuned for that opportunity. We appreciate that. But as always, it is time now for Vegas Unwrapped 2.0.
With a nod to the past and an eye to the future, here is Aaron Phillips with Vegas Unwrapped 2.0.
All right, there you go. By the way, we have two books, one hard copy, one softback. You'll have your choice, so you'll have a chance to win more than one copy, or maybe you win them both. Give one to somebody else. Either way, it's a great read. Okay, I got a plethora of topics today to talk about. By the way,
I already told you about using that word.
I'm sorry. I got many topics, but if you're not careful, my bodyguard, Mike Powell, who's sitting to my right here at the desk with me, joins us again today. He is here, and he's going to protect me today. Why? Because I'm wearing his colors today. That's right. The black and blue. I told him last week I have the perfect jacket to support our brethren of law enforcement. How you doing this week?
Fine, thank you.
Have you recovered from last week?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Got my breath.
Good. I noticed he's growing goatee now on his chin, so he's catching up to the host a little bit. Anyway, thank you for coming back. And a lot of great feedback on last week's show. And we teased it. We got a lot of mob talk today, maybe. So a lot of people, they love the mob out there. But as always, we're going to talk about some of the fun stuff going on, not only here, but I found some articles from around the country that might be worth knowing. Number one, of course, always like sharing the winners. Of course, win as you might think, but remember, this town's not built on all you winners out there, because how much did you spend before you won? Well, Caesar's Palace. I don't know if you followed the winnings in the news and everything, but there's been a lot of winners at Caesar's Palace over the months. I don't know what they're doing over there. But guest wins $100,000 video poker jackpot on a $50 bet at Caesar's Palace. That's right. This past Tuesday, somebody named Anonymous from parts unknown, they were playing, the company shows a winning hand. It was a 4 of a kind with 4 aces and a 2. It was the gambler's 5th bet. So of $50. So they spent $250 to get $100,000 this trip. But was this person a player? How much did they drop before all of that? That's what I want to know. The luck of the draw continues, as the spokesperson said there. They've had a handful of 6-figure jackpots at all the properties. So here's another one. Caesar's Palace seems to be a long time to get to the floor.
You better pick that up.
I will after the show. Don't worry about it. Isn't the maid coming in today?
I am the maid.
That's what I said. So anyway, so go down to see. Now here's another one. Now, the airport traditionally is not always some of the best odds, right? Because they have a locked-in audience, right?
Right.
They're sucking all the money you got left, and they're sucking your money just as you get off the plane, right? Well, guess what? A lot of people have been winning there. Want to take a guess to tell the size of this jackpot at the airport? Take a guess. Wild guess.
100,000.
Ooh, no. $1.3 million while playing Wheel of Fortune triple double emeralds. That's one heck of a way to end your vacation. And going out, this person was taking money with them, so good luck, good for them. Also, the person's name was anonymous, so we don't. But congratulations to you. We thank you very much for that. Now, what's tradition about July 1st besides starting the second half of the year and getting hot as hell? This is when laws start going into effect, right? Governor signed laws and things like that. 200 laws. 200. Imagine if you were a police officer today. 200 new laws you got to track. Like, how much homework would you have to do to figure out these new laws, right? Probably carry a little cheat sheet in the car. Wait a minute. Let me see which one that is over there. Well, I just highlighted a few of them. Some are cool. Some are good. Some, who knows? All right. So beginning July 1st, people who drink and drive and cause injuries can now be held liable for punitive damages, meaning they can be required to pay money as additional punishment. Before, they only face fines and restitution for physical and property damage. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. So now you're caught drinking and driving, man, you are in trouble even more so.
Right.
I mean, how much do you think something like that, as an experienced officer, will that curb some DUI? Do you think people will heed that at some, maybe a little more? Who knows?
Maybe a few, but if you got a problem, you got a problem.
You know what? Well said. If you have a problem, you don't care. That's very good. I like that. Now, the penalty for reckless driving, which caused substantial bodily harm or death, has been increased from 6 years to 20 years, plus an additional 7 years if it happens in a school zone.
Well,
how's that one for you? Look, I like the idea of slowing down. I mean, obviously, when you see those buses, you're in a school zone, you see those little red stop signs that come out from the bus. Yeah. Folks, please adhere to that. Even if you're on the other side of the road, it's still, if I'm not mistaken, if the bus is going this way and I'm going this way and the bus is there, I still have to stop, right?
Right.
You got to adhere to that because you don't know where those kids are going to come darting out of.
Exactly.
Did you ever get caught in a school zone like that?
No.
No, of course not. What else would you expect them to say? How many times did you stop people in a school zone? Probably.
I didn't do that kind of work.
No, I know. I'm just trying to make them scared. Mike, work with me. That's not only kidding. All right, here's one. You've probably been called to do this, but I bet you've gotten off. Not do jury duty? You've been called, I bet.
Yes, but I've gotten off.
But you never, right. So here, we just get paid a whopping $40, which nowadays is barely a tank of gas. Well, good news for John because he's retired, and I wish more retired people like John would get the call that I can see. No, I take that back. I don't think I want to see John on a jury duty because he'll hang everybody, even if you're just jaywalking.
If you're over 70, you're exempt because they don't want us old people up there, man.
Damn. Well, now if you do jury duty, instead of $40, you're getting $65. They've given you a raise of over 50% to do jury duty now. It used to be $40, now it's $65.
Do you have to live there?
I guess you got to be in the area at least.
All right. Okay.
For ladies out there,
pay travel?
No travel. Maybe that won't even get you a tank of gas from Cali, probably. Women who fill their prescription for birth controls can now get a 12-month supply in one visit. Because I'm going to turn to your wife on this. Not that you or I would be experts on this, but most prescriptions are usually 1 month at a time, right? So now you can get a whole year, which I think is good because in this way you don't risk, missing because you're ended a month and all of a sudden you got hello. You don't want that. So this, I think, is a good thing. So good for them. Now here's one that kind of tickled my fancy. All right. Have you guys ever bought Mylar balloons? Raise your hand if you ever bought Mylar balloons. Now, if you're out there watching this, I can't see your hand, so I have to trust you. So you ready for this one? Did you know now stores are required when they sell Mylar balloons, weights must be attached to them, which usually they are, when sold. The sale of Mylar balloons must be attached. Otherwise, selling balloons without weights face a $50 fine for each balloon or a fine of $2,500 a day. Why? Because the energy companies are concerned about the Mylars getting released and doing some damage up in the sky. Apparently, I didn't think one balloon could do that, but okay, if you say so. But Mylars. Now that's another thing store owners have to be conscious of, right?
Right.
License plates no longer have to be renewed every 8 years. Does that mean they never have to be renewed? I mean, I don't know what that means, but that's all they said. So here's one. Now, we know the housing crisis, evictions, rents, and all that stuff. A landlord can no longer charge a tenant for repairs or maintenance of a unit if such work is required to keep the area habitable, livable.
Decent, safe, and sanitary.
Okay. Take a can of Lysol. Anyway, so I think that's a good one too. Now, here's one I like. Okay. Have you ever had a tracking device placed on your car? Probably not.
No.
In the past, I'm not saying you did this, but I'm sure some agencies have done that with people they're trying to find. Well, it is now illegal to place a tracking device on someone's car without their permission.
Ooh.
So ponder this, if you will. Pretend I'm Dennis Arnaldi, the former FBI agent who was tracking Frank Collada and the Hole in the Wall gang. Excuse me, Frank, I have a question for you. I need to know where you're going to be tomorrow. And he's okay if I put a tracking device on your car to find. What is that? Now, I'm sure in law enforcement there's
A warrant.
there's warrants and things you could do. But
Right.
anyway, I thought that was just kind of funny in my place. All right, here's a good one. If you purchase a gun after July 1st, a gun lock will be included in the kit now, which is good. This includes gun transfers as well. Signs will be posted in gun stores warning unlawful storage of firearms may result in imprisonment or fine. And last but not least, those of you who are currently making minimum wage, right? With minimum wage right now in our state is 10 and a quarter, is going up to 11 and a quarter. And this was courtesy because of an action taken in 2019 by the Nevada legislature increasing minimum wage. So $1 more for those who are on minimum wage. Hopefully that helps, although with rising costs, it probably doesn't help really stay up with inflation. Okay. Real quickly, we know about Ocean Gate, the sub that went down to the Titanic
Yes.
that imploded. Terrible thing. Do you know they're still advertising for tours next year? Now, from what I know and read, it makes only sense that the participants on that sub that day, they sign waivers so they can't be held liable. Because my first thought was families would be suing left and right, and the insurance company that covers them would probably pretty much go bankrupt themselves.
Mhm.
Would you ever go on a sub like that?
No.
No,
No.
neither would I. Not even in my tub would I do that. But so here's the thing. You ready? The Undersea Exploration Company lists 2 more missions to the Titanic next year, June 12th through 20th and June 21st through 29th. Cost $250,000 a person. The price includes 1 submersible dive, private accommodations, all required training, expedition gear, and all meals while on board. Now, you can insert a joke about one-way tickets only, but I won't do that. Anyway, here's another one that really bothered me this week. Ryan Seacrest. You watch Wheel of Fortune? Periodically?
I've seen it.
You've seen it. You watch Wheel of Fortune? No. Okay. Good. These guys don't know Wheel of Fortune. John, you watch Wheel of Fortune?
Are you kidding?
He loves Vanna White. That's the only reason why. Go ahead. Turn your mic on. Here we go. I ask for trouble when I do
I
this.
do have a Wheel of Fortunes.
Story? Okay.
Yes.
Does it involve Ryan Seacrest?
No.
Thank God.
Thank God. This was some years back, and a young lady that I was dating.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we were living together in sin, of course.
Of course.
So she liked watching Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
She was brilliant at it. I swear to God, you put 3 letters up there, and she had it
She gets it.
every time. And I was going bananas, and I finally found out
Uh-oh.
that her mother, who lives in Illinois, saw the show earlier
The time difference?
and gave her all of the answers.
That's funny.
And she got away with that for a couple of months with me before I found out.
Oh, my goodness. By the way,
So, what does
yes.
that tell you?
It tells you that time differences make a difference.
Yes.
I need you to check.
That's all I'm going with that.
I need you to check the feed because I'm not seeing the show on my Aaron's Hour page.
Okay.
And so if you would please check that, make sure we're connected properly. Okay, so Ryan Seacrest, it came out, Pat Sajak, right?
Mhm.
He
Retired.
announced 1 more year, 2024. Ryan Seacrest, almost like within moments, was named, right? I'm so sick of Ryan Seacrest. I mean, this guy, Dick Clark, he took over for New Year's. Then he was on with Kelly in the morning show, right? Kelly Ripa. American Idol, okay? He doesn't give an opportunity for anybody else to take some of these jobs. Not that I'm saying my phone should ring, because I can do a pretty good job. But Ryan Seacrest, I'm so tired of this guy. Now, Vanna White now, she's going to be an interesting part of the story. Do you know that she's been making $3 million a year, which is not chump change, for 18 of the years, the last 18 years that she's been on the show? And she and Pat Sajak have been almost on it the entire 40 years. She's now looking for a raise. She's hired an attorney. She wants to make at least half of whatever the number was that Pat Sajak was getting $15 million. So she wants to bump up to at least 7.5, right? Now she's 66. She doesn't have the hardest job in the world. Boop, just, touch that little square and it lights up. I guess all that walking in high heels, maybe. No offense to high heels. But I was discussing this on my other show on Thursday. I mean, $3 million is not bad for just touching a square to light up, right? And yet they're billed when they're introduced at the beginning of the show. Here are your co-hosts, almost making it sound like that they should be even. In a way, they are, right? So she has filed a suit. Ryan Seacrest, of course, is saying all the right things. He wants to work with Vanna. But this will be an interesting story to follow to see if she gets – she's only been getting bonuses in addition to her salary over the last 18 years. I don't know what those bonuses are made from, but yeah, that'll be interesting. So if you ask me, if you want to start with a clean slate, no disrespect to Vanna White, but you got a new host coming in, get someone else to team with him. Now you got a whole new pair of people working the show. So Merv Griffin Company, call me. I'm still available. I'll push the button for $1 million. I don't care. Last story. You like bacon?
Yeah.
Bacon. So this is one of those, really, we have better things we should be doing. A collegiate summer league baseball team in Georgia has recently been targeted by the Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine for its team name. You ready? Macon Bacon, because they're in Macon, Georgia. So their team name is Macon Bacon, claiming that the team's name promotes the glorification of unhealthy food. And so you just can't make this stuff up.
You mean like alcohol?
Yeah, exactly. Well, never mind. The group wrote a letter to the team's president urging the team to change its name and promote plant-based bacon alternatives due to the health conditions of bacon. So here's what some of the names that these folks came up with. You ready?
Beer is plant-based.
What is?
Beer.
It's true. It's based on that, isn't it? Fakin' Bacon was an alternative by this physicians group. Or mushroom bacon was another alternative name. Okay? Now, here's the thing.
Tofu bacon.
Tofu bacon. Turkey bacon.
Turkey bacon.
Which exists, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, but then we'll get letters about turkeys.
Yeah.
So here's some of the meals that they have at the games. You ready? They have a sandwich like 6 degrees of Kevin bacon, bacon wrapped bacon. Now there's an idea. Steak cut bacon, bacon cheeseburger, bacon dog, bacon loaded cheese fries, bacon loaded mac and cheese, and bacon chips.
All of the above.
Right. I mean, really, do we not have better things that physicians, if these are real doctors or people, whatever it is, maybe they're just nutritionists, they have something better to work on, like, I don't know, finding a cure for cancer. Don't worry about bacon. Right? I mean, that's my opinion. We got better things to do. All right. With that, we're going to step aside for our first break. Hopefully the feed is up correctly on my page on Facebook. For some reason, it's not showing on my phone. That's why I'm bringing it up.
No, and I know why now.
Did you not turn the switch on?
Yeah.
You only had one job.
Aaron's Hour with Aaron Phillips.
Right.
Aaron's Hour show.
Right.
All right. Aaron's Hour with the boys.
Right. What are you talking? So what's the problem?
So I missed one. I'm going down the list.
A very important one.
Aaron's Hour. Jesus.
Very important one. Anyway, you are watching Aaron's Hour. At least I think so. When we come back on the other side of the break,
Which one?
I have no idea. I don't care as long as they're watching. Mike Powell and I will pick up our discussion and your chance to win a book from Mike called Escaping the Kill Zone. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You'll find the art that speaks to your heart at Desert Valley Gallery. I've got to have it.
So colorful.
I can't live without it. You'll find the art that speaks to your heart at Desert Valley Gallery.
Hi, I'm George Miklos.
Hi, I'm Rick Upchurch.
Hi, I'm Aaron Phillips, and we are
The Round Table. Check us out.
Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Time Live.
on Facebook page as well as WWDB TV. Hi, welcome back. Thank you for watching, Aaron. So I got Mike Powell here. This is Mike Powell Part 2. He is
time.
I'm telling you. Escaping the Kill Zone. That is the book he wrote about his experience in LA, PD, and just a whole plethora I did it again. Sorry, John. Many different areas of law enforcement, stories upon stories upon stories, including one last week where it was the definition of what the kill zone is. We're not going to go back to that because he promised last week when we signed up, we didn't even get into mob stories. And God only knows what's in there. I haven't gotten that far in the book.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Hey, if you're a mobster, turn off the show right now so I don't get in trouble. Anyway, and I have 2 books to give away. We're going to give out, the phone number is 702-992-3207, but do not call until I give you the cue to call. I have 2 books, so the first 2 callers will call in. We'll get a copy of Mike's book. So Stuart, if you're watching, dude, hello, Jennifer. Jennifer McCord, my friend out in Hawaii, who I think still in Laughlin. Anyway, welcome back. Did you have a good week?
Yes, had a good week.
Getting ready for the heat now this week?
Yeah, trying to.
Heat warnings for the next, 5 days? Drink all that water.
Yeah, Monday 113, they say.
I'm going to Lake Havasu. It's like 5 to 10 degrees hotter there. So I'm okay with that. As long as the air conditioner works and the lake stays wet, I'm good. I'm fine with that. Heat doesn't mean anything. You know what? I'll take 120 and 10% humidity outside of 85 degrees and 900% humidity back east where I'm from. I'll take it. I didn't believe the dry heat theory until I moved out here. Anyway, so welcome. Listen, I started reading the book, and you said at the end of the show, or maybe as we logged off, that I really need to read chapter 11 in the book, and I did that this morning so that it was fresh in my mind. I don't want to necessarily jump ahead to that right now because we were kind of teasing everybody about mobsters and some of the stories you have around that. Now, disclaimer, we are going to change some of the names to protect myself and Mike. No, but we're going to change some of the names, but you'll read the stories in the book. And I believe you changed some of the names in some of the stories also.
Some, yes.
So we're going to kind of stick with that just to but it's all about some of the storytelling. And we know everybody loves mobsters in Vegas and the whole story. What do you think it is about the mob scene that everybody loves about there? I mean, we know they were here in Vegas for so many years, right?
Right, yes. I think there's always been a fascination with the mob, but I think when movies like The Godfather came out and stuff, and I don't know if you've seen the movie The Offer.
Oh yes, I did.
And what a great series. It's a series.
Yes.
It's not a documentary.
That's correct.
And it's a great series. Al Ruddy, who was a young producer who wanted to make The Godfather, I met with him in his office while I was doing my work.
Right.
And he had to make a deal with the mob to get the okay to let them make the movie because they were trying to stop it.
Wow. That's as they did with Francis Ford Coppola and all that stuff, too. They were still trying to block him, too, from The Godfather.
And Frank Sinatra was not happy with him being in the movie.
That's right.
So he was very angry.
But the movie still came out, just celebrated its 50th anniversary not too long ago from that movie, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
It's a classic. If you just say horse's head in the bed, everybody knows what movie you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about. I mean, we talked about your experiences, the story that led up to escaping the kill zone, the story at your townhouse where the fire was set by that kid in a Mustang with those ratty sneakers. See, I remember the details. So let's talk about what was your first experience in a case where you came across the mob?
Well, basically, that was the first time and last time. I was thinking about this before I got here on the ride here, and I noticed when I've talked to people about this, I think they come from a point of view where you just wake up one day and say, "Hey, I'm going to go undercover in the mafia."
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. It does. Well, I mean, good luck if you want to do that.
Right.
I had a lot of experiences that led me up to that. I think one of the major things is you can't be afraid.
Okay.
That old saying, they can smell fear a mile away.
Sure.
Well, it's true.
Sure.
And so I don't think I just got out of bed one day and said, "Hey, I'm going to do the mafia thing."
Mm-hmm.
While I was on LAPD, as I said last week, I worked a Zebra unit.
Right.
And our unit was tasked with tracking down violent criminals. We worked with snitches, informants. Like in the movies, the detectives are doing a homicide investigation. They gather materials, they send it off to the labs, they do forensics and stuff like that. But it's really different departments handle it different way. But like on LAPD, it was really the Zebra units in South Central LA that went to go track down the killer or the bank robber or the burglar or whatever, the rapist, track them down and capture them. And then we call in the detectives, and then they take him and do what they do. So, I realized that a little more when I was writing the book, because I don't know how many times I handcuffed someone for 187 murder or someone for rape and murder, and the detectives show up. Hey, good job. They take my cuffs off. They put his cuffs on.
Right.
And that's the last time.
That's it.
That's the last time you see him, except one case where it was a triple murder, and the defense was trying to get the evidence thrown out on an illegal search and seizure thing that I was involved in, and I had to go testify in a major trial about it. So we did that kind of stuff, but also we did stuff like this wasn't in my book. There was the Skid Row slasher.
Okay.
The Skid Row slasher was someone who's going around when people are sleeping in the streets, like a lot more nowadays, and walking over to them and bending over them and slashing their throats. So everyone is on the lookout for the Skid Row slasher, and I was sent to the north end of Newton Division that butted up with Central Division where the Skid Row is, and I slept in an alley. And
So you were undercover.
I was undercover, laying there. I was more of a decoy.
Okay.
And I laid there, pretended I was asleep, had my arms crossed under a blanket, and I had a 2-inch 38.
Okay.
And a couple homeless people came over and poked at me, and you get a little nervous because you're wondering, am I going to see the knife or the razor blade or something fast enough to pull my trigger?
Right.
And nothing happened. That's the reason I didn't put it in the book. We did it for a few nights and stuff like that. But on a couple of cases, I was a decoy. One time, in particular case, I got called to West Los Angeles Station, and I walked in the room, and I knew something big was going to happen. I can just tell by the guys that were in there. We were either Zebra Unit guys or Spew Unit or from Crash, and there were about 15 of us in the room, and there was a captain, lieutenant, and a sergeant. Something big going on. We sit down, and apparently on Wilshire Boulevard and Beverly Glen in West Los Angeles, which is a very expensive area, multi-million-dollar homes around the area, there was a Jewish temple, and they have Friday night service.
Yep.
Well,
I'm very familiar.
You're very familiar. Well, this on Friday nights, this Jewish temple didn't have enough parking.
Okay.
So a lot of these white-haired widows parked in the neighborhood,
right?
And it was beautiful. Oak trees, giant oak trees overlooking these beautiful homes and streets. Problem is no light got in. It was very dark.
Gotcha.
Parking lot was too small, so a lot of them parked their cars in the neighborhood.
Right.
They started getting attacked. And it was a brutal attack. The car was driving up. Couple what we figured were gangbangers from South Central Los Angeles would get out of the car with a shotgun, walk over, butt stroke them, break their jaws, break their fingers, break their wrists, taking their jewelry off and leaving them laying on the ground and jumping in the car and taking off. Well, it got so bad that the city council got involved.
Okay.
And then they called in the chief's office. And I remember Supervisor Zev Zaroslavsky was heavily involved in it. So we got called to this unit. The first thing they did was they brought Metro in. Now, Metro goes into high crime areas. Slight problem is they're also SWAT.
Okay.
So in the trunks of their black and white cars, they carry their SWAT gear. Some of them have unmarked cars, but they carry a SWAT gear. Nevertheless, black and white are plain clothes. Any criminal with any sense can hear a V8 engine coming down the street.
Sure.
So they came in for a couple of weeks. No crimes happened. They get called to another part of the city where there's crime. The guys are back. So they got us together, and they wanted us, in their words, to end it. Okay. So here was the plan. They said that they were going to have a female police officer dressed up like an elderly woman, walk down the street. We would be in vans and hideouts, and south would be a chase car, black and white, in case they had to get into pursuit with. And north, up at the fire station of Beverly Glen and Sunset, there was going to be a chase car there. The other one was at Santa Monica and Beverly Glen. But they got a call a few hours earlier from the chief's office that they decided that these guys were so violent that they weren't going to use a policewoman. They wanted a male to dress as the woman.
Gotcha.
And I was selected.
Oh, goody.
So
I bet that went over well.
They just told me, Powell, you're going to go.
You're it.
They arranged at 20th Century Fox on Pico to the big movie studio to do my makeup. And I went down there, and I was on the set of Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, boy.
Paul Michael Glacier was on this side and David Soul was on this side. And we all sat and talked
Wow.
while they did about an hour and a half worth of makeup. They aged me and wig and everything. And also the other part of the set that shared the same makeup room was MASH. And so they all came in and met me. They thought it was really cool.
Right.
So for a couple Friday nights, we started Thursday and Friday nights, we would walk the streets. I had an earphone. We didn't have really sophisticated equipment back then, but I can hear them. And it was a little boring. Nothing would happen. I had an old man try to pick up on me. I had a woman.
I'm sorry about that.
So, John, don't you know better?
Yeah. And also a woman was walking up the street with the dog, and the dog knew. The dog was, she said, good evening. And the dog was,
Knew something was off.
The dog knew something was off. And so when we'd walk down the street, Jimmy Aiken, who is a classmate of mine, was talking to me. And, cops can be silly. He'd say, hey, shake it for me.
Yeah,
shake my behind.
Sure.
And about the third week, on a Friday, I was walking down the street and Jimmy was joking with me and got quiet for a minute. And he says, okay, Mike, I want you to relax. Right then, game's on.
Right.
And the whole plan was that I was to go, and if I saw a gun, I was going to pretend like I fainted.
Right.
They showed me at the studio how to faint.
Right.
And get below any kind of line of fire in case it was a shootout.
Right.
In case it was a
Makes
shootout.
sense.
So as he said that, I stepped off the curb. I'm walking. It was interesting. I couldn't hear the engine running, but I could hear gravel popping under the tires. It just reminded me of when I was a kid at a drive-in theater.
Yeah, sure.
And as I got across the street, I realized that these big oak trees were pushing the sidewalk up.
Oh.
And so I stepped up. I was higher than I thought I would be. And a Corvair, four-door Corvair, pulled up, a white one. The door opened up, and the driver, the number one suspect, had a shotgun, a sawed-off shotgun on his lap, and it was right about level with the sidewalk.
Wow.
So I thought, if I fake to fall here,
right, you're in his line.
I'm in his line if something happens and stuff. So I kept walking, and as they were driving, it was rolling really slow. The passenger got out, walked up behind me, said, "Hey, lady," and he put his hand on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And I remember reaching back and grabbing it, and I remember thinking, he's skinny. You can tell his hand was petite, really petite. Okay. And I didn't think anymore. I grabbed him by the wrist and flipped him over my back. Okay. I was wearing a shawl. I had a gun in my holster. Got tangled in the shawl.
Oh, jeez.
He hit the ground and was up like a rubber thing. He was jumping up, and the car started taking off. And he jumped in the back rear window, or this passenger window side, and he was hanging out his feet as they were going down the street.
Right.
That was my first experience of kind of big decoy.
Now, what did they do? Now, obviously, you didn't have lines in this role, but I'm sure at some point, did you do anything? You had to do something with your voice. Even if you screamed like a woman would. I mean, how do you scream? Oh, that's not going to sound like a lady. You know
no, because they we didn't plan for me to talk because
of course
they would know.
Of course.
So it was just the whole fainting thing just to get
so
out of the way.
Nothing verbal at all.
And the bad news is they got away.
Okay.
The good news is how we handled it. Everyone jumped out. We had shotguns. We had everything. And everyone agreed later, no one fired around, that there were too many homes with lights on in the living rooms.
Right. Right.
Meaning families were in there. Mm-hmm. There was a couple, in my book, I mentioned a couple of scenes where the background wasn't ideal for a shooting.
Well, in chapter 11 that you wanted me to read, you talk about that, about the spray of the bullets, how it can affect other people. So you talk about that in that story as well.
Yeah, and these kind of things have to go through your mind automatically.
Right.
You're trained to do them. So so I had a little bit of that. And as I said last week, by that time I had been in 4 police shootings. I was in a shooting so close in a screen window to someone who I couldn't see, who opened fire at me, that the muzzle flashes were coming. I could feel the heat on my face.
Wow.
And I'm shooting back. I can't see them.
Right.
And it was probably 7 feet off the ground. So I'm shooting up and they're shooting down, and I can feel the heat
just whizzing by
at nighttime. Wow. Yeah. And then everyone else opened fire, and I think they fired 148 rounds into the house and killed everything except the suspect was fine.
That's why I wonder, you see these shootouts, it's like bang, 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 bang. How do you miss each other? Remember the old TV show? What was the spoof TV show, John, from Airplane with Leslie Nielsen? It was a cop show.
Police Story.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they would be as close as you and I are. They're shooting at each other. You're like, how do you miss each other? You know what I'm saying? So it's
Because one guy's wearing a red shirt and the other one is a stormtrooper.
there you go.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that. So as you counted and felt the bullets more or less go by in the heat, what did you have a thought in your brain like, oh God, like how lucky or you just kept going and didn't even think about it until after the fact?
Well, back then, this was in the 70s.
Right.
We use 38s.
Okay.
So I had 6 rounds.
Right.
And as soon as I was empty, I dove for the under the window.
Right. For cover.
So
Right.
he'd have to stick out and lean out to get
Gotcha.
me if he was. And I was reloading when I
Right.
looked over, and the whole sky lit up because all these other cops had arrived
Wow.
and started shooting. But we had, when we had first got there, the call was a kidnapping.
Right.
So we went to the front yard, and there was a elderly 28, 29-year-old. I say elderly. The girl was 13.
Right. Wow.
And he was pulling her, and he said, "That's okay. It's my girlfriend." And she goes, "I don't want to go with him."
Okay.
So we walked over, and my partner said, "Let me see your ID." And just then a gunshot rang out from the house, and we can hear it fizz by us. It's a fizz by us, and then we went on from there, and
Wow.
the shootout occurred.
First chance to call in to get a book. Let's do it right now. 702-992-3207. 702-992-3207. First caller gets one of the books. You get a choice of hard copy or softback. Mike will autograph it. John, no. Current staff not eligible. Besides, you already have one back there.
Oh, that's right. I got one. Never
You got
mind.
one. No, I realize you might need another one to hold the table up, but you're fine. 702-992-3207. If you're listening on the app, you're also encouraged to call in. Don't worry about it. If you're not local, we'll mail you the book. And if you are local, we'll just make an arrangement to get it to you. Not a problem. So give us a call. First person to call in gets their choice of hardback or softback of the book, Escaping the Killing Zone by Mike Powell. I'm telling you, you will get into these stories, and he's only touching the surface. Now, for those who want to order it, it is available on shootingnewton. I was practicing that all week, by the way. shootingnewton.com is the website to get the book. And what is it selling for online? Just so they know.
$19.95.
There you go. However, if you call in and get it here, I'll have Mike autograph it for you. If not, I'll sign his name, and it's no big deal. You wouldn't know the difference anyway. No, shootingnewton.com is the website. You can get a copy of the book. It's now available, and I'm telling you, you will not put it down. So call in. First caller gets a copy of the book. Jennifer, call in. Stuart, I know you're out there. I know you want a copy of the book. Do it now. Okay. You're watching Aaron's Hour, by the way, if you haven't figured that out. So just because of the sign right there over our head, where is it? Right there? There you go. You know it's what show it is. Okay, let's get back to it. Robert, good to see you out there in the chat room, my friend. Okay, so you have this kidnapping case, but do you take the time after you, like in that scenario, you go back to the precinct, get everything taken care of, you taking off, the makeup or whatever, or your gear or whatever. Do you ever go back and reflect about how close you might have come to take? There you go. Well, at least we know the phone rings. Hang tight, whoever's calling. Do you ever go back and say, my God, I could have, taken a bullet to the
At the
head?
beginning, I think, when you're a rookie cop, and as you'll see in the book, some cops go 30 years and never fire their weapon. I was assigned right out of the police academy to South Central Los Angeles,
Right.
and there was a war going on between the gangs.
Gotcha.
So a lot of crime going down, and so at first you're kind of shocked. I remember the first shootout I was in.
Hang on to that thought, because we actually have a caller on the line that wants a book. So as soon as Mr. John gives us the okie dokie that we're connected. All right, caller, thank you for calling. Who's this and where are you calling from? John, I hear nothing.
I don't either. Say something.
All right, pick up the handset. Make sure
You
there's
hear him now?
no. Hello.
Hello? Technical difficulties.
I just heard the feedback.
Hello?
Can you just
I can hear him, yeah.
who is it? I can't. I'm not hearing anything on the speaker unless the outside speaker's not on.
Nope, that's on.
Play
That's on.
play
That's
translator for me.
on. Okay.
Who is
Go
it?
ahead. Hey, caller, what is your name, please?
Yes.
Yes. Then we're going to
Robert?
do this the old-fashioned way.
Quiet.
Sorry.
What is your name, please, caller?
Robert?
He's always in control.
Robert. What is your last name, Robert?
Is that Robert Babcock?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Robert Babcock, you are the winner of the copy of Escaping the Kill Zone.
Wait a minute. He's got
Now,
Didn't you say he's got to answer a question?
yes.
Who
He answered twice.
What was the question?
What's your name?
I was going to give an easy one. Who's the host of Aaron's Hour? But anyway, all right. We got you, Robert. I'll message you through Facebook since we're already connected. Just tell me if you want the hard copy or the softback. Then we'll make an arrangement to get it to you. He says?
Hard copy.
He wants the hard copy.
There you go, right there. That is for Robert Babcock. You got it. Thank you. We got one more to give away. Robert, thank you for calling, my friend. I'll message you through Facebook. All right. Technology is a grand when it works. Isn't that great?
Yes.
All right. There you go. Thank you, Robert. All right. We got one more book up for grabs coming up momentarily, but wait for the cue. Okay. Sorry about that. So thank you, Robert. That's cool. We gave away a book. All right. So we're recounting after a case. You're hanging up stuff. You say you used to think about it, but then now it's like second nature.
Right, and you learn to roll to the next.
Sure.
It's almost like you don't have enough time, especially in the fast areas.
Okay.
You don't have enough time to think about what you did or whatever. I found it very interesting that you react. A lot of your training comes out both from the police department training and the military training.
Sure.
All goes through your head, and you just instinctively do it.
Right.
So I did a lot of different things. And when people kept saying to me, you should write a book, I was confused because I did stuff on the police department. I did stuff for hire for the federal government. I did stuff for hire for Fortune 500 companies that ended up being very big cases.
Sure.
Some very dangerous cases. I had a death threat put out on me and had my house lit on fire with my first wife and I in it. So
and the cat?
And the cat was in it.
Reggie, wasn't it?
Reggie.
See, I remember. See, I read. See?
And
lucky guess.
So, I didn't know how to write the story. And because which story do you pick? Which one do you do? Until I was having lunch with a director friend of mine, John Whitesell, and he said, Mike, it's not the story. It's about you and why you did these things.
Right.
And it gave me an avenue in my brain to figure out, the journey.
Sure.
And then my wife over here, who's pretty persistent, kept pushing me to write the book. Okay. Write the book. Just tell the story and write the book.
Does he say thank you in here somewhere in the forward? He does. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I better.
She wrote it for you. That's right.
So,
to my lovely wife from me. Okay.
So anyway, so I wrote the book, and I can see in the book how things graduated from more and more and more. Like I said, you just don't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to go and cover the mafia, or like in the military, hey, I'm going to go, do this special mission.
Right.
You build up to it, you're trained for it, and you go. And that's what happened. That's how I built a kind of a resume in my brain and in my tactical brain.
Right.
And also I write about in the first few chapters of the book growing up, and I was dyslexic.
I read that.
So I was bullied as a kid.
Yep. Until a certain relative.
Till my aunt married Bobby Wood out of prison. She saw him on TV. Yep. He was arrested for trying to rob a liquor store, but he didn't have a gun. And she became pen pals with him. And when he got out, they came to live with us. And 5 years earlier, before he got arrested, he was the 10th rated flyweight in the world. And he was going blind, and his dad ditched him, so he ended up homeless. And he tried to get some money from a liquor store, and of course he was unsuccessful. But living with us, he discovered really quick that I was being bullied, and so he had me join the YMCA.
Right. And
he went down there was a youth boxing program, and he started training me to fight back.
Right.
And that's how things changed for me back then.
Let me hold you on that thought right there. I want to take our last break of the show a minute or two early, so when we come back, we can give away the second book that we have to give away to a caller.
We have another book to give away?
I have another book. If you're not careful, I'll give away your book too. I don't really care.
No, you won't.
All righty then. 702-992-3207. But don't call until we come back from break. You're watching Aaron's Hour. More with Mike when we come back.
With our award-winning patented Ultimate 3-in-1, pack wrinkle-free in our innovative garment bag, generous duffel, and all-purpose day pack for incredible versatility. Experience easy wrinkle-free packing with quick access to travel essentials. Exclusively ours, an extension pocket for longer items or additional storage. Avoid check-in fees and lost luggage with our patented wraparound garment bag and duffel for a single carry-on. Easily hang the garment bag at your destination and use our duffel as a pop-up drawer. Back at home, the duffel and garment bag fold neatly into the day pack for compact storage. Travel smarter and simpler with Ultimate Luggage.
How unique.
It's gorgeous.
You'll find the art that speaks to your heart at Desert Valley Gallery. I've gotta have it.
So colorful.
I can't live without it. You'll find the art that speaks to your heart at Desert Valley Gallery.
All right, we are back, by the way. Robert puts in the chat room. Awesome. Thank you. He's got the book. All right, we have one more book to give away, so we're going to put it out there now. First caller, 702-992-3207. That's 702-992-3207. Next caller, you only get the choice of the softback, but at least you'll get a copy of the book. All right, great. Hey, Rick Upchurch. Former Denver Bronco wide receiver. He's co-host of the Roundtable. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you later. I got something to chat with you about. Robert says, got the show on the phone and
WWE and TV.
Oh, there you go. When Mike joined you for part 2, love the star. Okay. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you, my friend. Okay. I do have fans. At least one
more.
2. Oh, we have one more, part 3. Oh, he wants the third part? Listen, if I keep bringing Mike back, there's no suspense for the next time, but we'll figure something out. But thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about where we were as you were progressing, your tacticals. Now, obviously, I think there's relative greatness to this. Military personnel making police officers is almost a logical progression when somebody comes out of the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the tactical training and with your training in specific. Is it because it's the same discipline or because you have those tactical skills from the military that transfer so easily into law enforcement?
I think it's both.
Okay.
On the back of my book right here, I even give credit to LAPD chiefs Ed Davis and Daryl Gates, who at the time were hiring former military, I call them warrior cops, and putting them in the streets to hunt down violent criminals. And we already know we already know tactics.
Right.
And that's one reason at a very young age on the police department, I was put into a zebra unit because you're on your own. You don't get radio calls.
Right.
You
no smoke signals. No
smoke signals. None. If it goes down, it goes down with you and your partner.
Right.
And so anyway, that's it. But doing these things, you start to get a reputation.
Okay.
Within the department, and by after I was injured and retired, I was 28 years old, and I went off and I started doing security work and bodyguard work,
right,
and stuff. And people look at me and go, "Well, you were a bodyguard, 5'9", 170 pounds." And but the guys I worked with, Cliff Stewart was Muhammad Ali's sparring partner, and he's like a 5th degree black belt.
Right.
And I had a couple other guys that worked with me. Some are in prison, but
they were really good at their job. Obviously,
it was a good team because someone had to be the brains.
Sure, of course.
Someone had to say. I always felt like if we were protecting someone and something went down, I already haven't done my job.
Right.
They will handle it physically,
right,
but my job was to make sure that I sensed it beforehand.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to sound too dramatic, but in the military, sometimes when you learn how to kill, for lack of a better word,
right,
you know how not to be killed.
Sure.
You know about the kill zone.
Right.
The areas that they could be shooting you from, and so not to get in those areas when you're on the ground.
Okay.
So I got a bit of a reputation, and Intercept, which was a company in Hollywood, California, owned by Ed Gelb, the president of the American Polygraph Association.
Okay.
Ed went on to polygraphed the Ramseys, O.J. Simpson.
I was going to ask you if you somehow were involved. Oh, wait, but that company was. Were you involved in the OJ case?
No, not at all. I was gone
You can
already.
keep going. I was just curious.
Yeah. And but Ed had a security guard company and a polygraph unit that had contracts with a lot of companies that had DoD contracts, Department of Defense,
Okay.
and for internal theft or stealing secrets or
Sure.
anything like that.
Mhm.
But he had a small investigative division, and they got contacted by the Gillette Corporation in Boston.
Mhm.
Here in Las Vegas, there was a boiler room, a phone operation room where people call and sell what's called ad specialty items,
Okay.
like ballpoint pens with the name of your
Company
show on it,
Right.
or the name of a company.
Like the thousands I have?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
The pool companies,
Sure.
construction companies, everyone, ice scrapers for the East Coast,
Mhm.
all different things. And they would tell you, or they would lead you to believe that you were getting a Hallmark greeting card with the name of your company on the back, or Playboy money clip with your company
Right.
engraved on the back,
Right.
or Papermate pens, and you would get junk. They had
Mhm.
nothing to do with
With what you saw.
what you thought you were getting.
Mhm.
Well, Papermate was owned by Gillette.
Okay.
Gillette company back then, it's called corporation now, but Gillette back there, the head of worldwide security was Ken Clow,
Okay.
his former CIA,
Mhm.
and he ran worldwide security. So they were getting so many calls that they hired Ed Gelb to look into it. Ed Gelb sent investigators and hired a few extra that went to Los Angeles, they went to Arizona, they came to Las Vegas and Florida to look up these boiler rooms. And from the reports I read, the biggest boiler room was 50 state distribution here in Las Vegas.
Wow.
They were raking in $100 million a year in fraudulent wire fraud, mail fraud, and ultimately money laundering.
Jeez.
Now, if you've seen the movie Casino,
Absolutely.
the same guys, Tony Spilatro,
Uh-huh.
he was the sergeant of arms, you might say,
Yes.
for everything out of Chicago,
Right.
which was called The Outfit.
Yep.
In the book, I refer to them as the Mafia, so people
Right.
don't get confused.
Right.
And but they were so caught up in the skimming operation at the Stardust Hotel.
Right.
And from the records, when I wrote my book, the records I got, the FBI estimates they were making $5 to maybe $8 million a year coming out of the skim.
From the skim.
That was Bobby Stella Sr.
Right.
and Spilatro, and then we're getting to
Now, was that per year, you said?
yes,
Because $5 to $8 million back then
Well-
is very different than what $5 to $8 million would be worth today.
it's about 3 times as much now. So you're talking
Right.
$15 to $20 million
Okay.
a year. So they were busy protecting that, and that's glamorous because it involves a casino.
Right.
Okay. The company 50 State Distribution was owned by the same mobsters. They were raking in $100 million a year, but they weren't paying much attention to it.
Right.
And the operation here had over 200 employees. They had it divided in fours. They had the salespeople in these cubby holes
Mhm.
calling cold. They had the verification room that called them back to make sure that they can give them a number to register their prize.
Right.
And then they had the shipping department, and then they had the office workers.
Okay.
None of them were allowed. They didn't come to work at the same time. They were guarded doors,
Right.
and no one is allowed to cross over in areas
Right.
because when they got in trouble for selling something fake, the U.S. attorney would come and arrest these people for lying, and then the company go, "Hey, they're independent
Right.
contractors," and they weren't allowed to say that. Yeah, get rid of them.
Right.
Then they'd hire them back under another
Sure.
name.
Sure.
So Ken wanted to prove that the company was doing this,
Okay.
the whole company. And in the middle of this building was a lunchroom.
Okay.
And there was always 2 to 3 Chicago gentlemen sitting in there, mobsters.
They weren't selling hot dogs,
no,
were they? No.
they sat there all day.
That's-
They were kind of the
eyes and ears.
The eyes and ears. So they were raking in so much money, I think they got a little lax.
Okay.
So Ken came and met with the U.S. Attorney Lamont Mills at the time here, the U.S. Attorney for Las Vegas, Nevada,
Right.
and got him to open a case using an informant. They found an informant. They were working with them with the U.S. Postal investigators,
Okay.
who are just like FBI agents, but they do
Mhm.
postal wire fraud, mail fraud.
Mhm.
And he disappeared. Now, I was told that they found him in a hotel. He was shot in the forehead, execution style. There was a rag stuffed down his throat with a broom handle. I was told all that stuff during investigating for my book. I couldn't find anything on it,
Okay.
but that's what I was told at the time.
Right.
To be careful.
Sure.
So they collapsed the case, and the federal government said, "Hey, we're already blown. They
Right.
already know we're investigating.
Right.
We're not sending anyone in.
Right.
None of our agents. It's too dangerous, and they already know."
Right.
So Ken went to Washington because he's former CIA. He knew some people,
Sure.
and he said, "How about we do an off the books operation? Gillette will finance it, and we'll hire someone outside to go under and work with the federal agents, so they don't have to put their own in."
Gotcha.
Now you know what that means, and I mean I was very familiar at the time what that means. That means if something happens to you, they don't know you.
Right.
So
That's what off the book means.
that's off the books. They don't know who you are.
This is an off the book show, folks.
Right. So what happened was Ed Gelb Intercept got the case.
Mhm.
They started interviewing people, retired DEA, FBI, Sheriff's Department. I was told. Peyton Shore came to see me. He was the lead detective at Intercept, and he approached me and said, "Hey, we'd like to talk to you about a job." And I wasn't really interested in it.
Right.
I just said, "No, I'm not doing that right now." And he said, "Well, a lot of guys have turned this down,
Mhm.
DEA," and he gave me the list of stuff. And he goes, "You want to know why?" And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because they're afraid."
Mhm.
Well, interesting enough, I mean, I grew up being afraid my whole life. I was
Sure.
bullied as a kid.
Right.
And in my adult life, I always try to prove myself, prove that I wasn't afraid.
Right.
In hindsight, I discovered this writing my book, and I said, "Yeah, well, what is the case?" He said, "We need someone to go undercover in organized crime in Las Vegas for the federal government."
Mhm.
So I said, "Okay, I could be on a plane in 2 days."
Okay.
And so I came out here. I left my first wife there, and I came out here, rented a place, rented a car, and Ken had contacted the feds, and they sent 2 federal postal inspectors to my office. I'm sorry, from their office to my my hotel room.
Right.
And next thing you know, they're trying to talk me out of it. They said, you can't get in there. They're young guys.
Sure.
And you can't get in there, and we really need the mobsters.
Okay.
And you'll take 6 months or so to get them. And I was pretty cocky back there. As you can see, the kind of work I did.
Absolutely. Well, you have to be. I mean, like you said, you have to have the comfort without fear, so to speak, to do all the things that you've done and to put yourself out there.
Right.
For the betterment of the results of the case or situation that you're working on. Robert, we may end up with a part 3 when I come back from vacation because, again, we keep telling stories. Ain't nobody going to buy our book. But either way, buy the book anyway. We're just about out of time. One last quick question I have for you. I don't think I asked you this last week. If I did, I apologize. If a movie were made about you and your life, and I know you're talking about some of the stories in it, but seriously about Mike and his life, who would you want to see play you in the movie as Mike Powell?
Geez, I don't know. The one person that comes to mind only because he was in a series, Ozark, Bateman.
Okay.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman?
Jason
Yeah.
Bateman.
He'd be perfect.
Yeah, because if you see him, and he's not a macho guy, because
He's a
I'm
very
not
normal-looking guy.
I'm not a macho guy, but he gets in these things and he gets out of them.
But he's taller than you too, though. Physically, he's a
Well,
little, but he's taller than you. But you're right, though. He has that very unassuming personality that, like you said, that you can get in and get out of situations. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not a bad choice.
And that's another reason why, I've had people say, "But you went undercover the mafia?" Well, if I was 6'4" and built,
Right.
Right away they're going to put up their guard.
Right.
They're gonna see-
You have to
and-
be unassuming in that.
Yeah, it's kind of like I was thumbing through the book, The Art of War.
Right.
It says, if you're strong, appear to be weak.
Right.
If you're weak, appear to be strong
Right.
to your enemy.
I'm very good at appearing weak, by the way.
Anyway,
No, absolutely. All right. The book, Escaping the Kill Zone. available to you on shootnewton.com. God, I love that.
No G in it. No G.
Shooting Newton. What did I say? Shooting?
No, Shooting Newton.
Shoot Newton.
Newton.
No G. Yes.
Shooting Newton. Yeah, no G. Shootnewton.com. I'm going to add that to plethora. Anyway, we saw the second book, which is okay. You know why? I'm going to keep it through vacation because when I come back on the 15th, I'm going to give it away on the next show. That's right. You know what? The next show, I have my sponsors, Desert Valley Gallery. They're going to be coming on the 15th, and I'm going to give away the other book. Mike doesn't know I'm keeping it, but now I guess he does now. We're going to give it away on the 15th when I come back from vacation because somebody's going to enjoy it. Robert, thank you for calling in, getting your copy. And, of course, the book, again, is available on shootnewton.com. Again, I'm just going to say it as many times as I can. That's all. Anyway, thank you for coming in again. Appreciate it. Hope you all enjoyed the stories out there. We'll figure something out to bring. He's probably the number one requested guest I'm going to have for the next 3 months, which is great because I love it. He just tells stories and I can sit back and listen like the rest of you. It's no big deal. Have a happy and safe July 4th. Any plans for the 4th of July?
Yeah, to stay home.
There you go.
Stay away from the crowds.
But please stay hydrated, though. Drink a lot of water, and alcohol does not count as drinking. Well, it counts as drinking, but not to protect your life. Lots of water, whatever you do, please be safe. I want to make sure you all come back when I'm back here on the 15th with all your 10 fingers and 10 toes and smiles on your faces. Of course, when I see you next, I'll be a year older. That doesn't mean it. Hey, anyway, enjoy 4th of July. As always, be kind to everybody. Why? We're all we have. We'll see you next time right here on Aaron's Hour. Thank you for watching.